Welcome to the Zurich Pro Style Driving Series for business vehicles. Let me introduce Jim York with Zurich Services Transportation Group.
Driving. For many of us, it's the most dangerous thing we'll do. Whether it's driving a cement truck, making a sales call, or driving from job site to job site. We all participate in this Russian roulette game we call driving. You know, I used to do this for a profession, but now it's part of my job. It's a task. But at this moment, it's the most important task at hand. In this segment of the Zurich Pro Style Driving Series, we're going to focus on the issues that people like you and I face every day. We're going to learn about professional style driving techniques, and we're going to learn how to answer the age-old question of how to get from point A to point B without having a crash. So let's take a trip and let's have a look at those techniques. Today, we're going to talk about the factors that as human beings make us all vulnerable to highway crashes. But more importantly, we're going to talk about an approach we call good news, bad news, that helps us understand our limitations in the driving task, makes us better, more aware drivers. First, let's talk about the good news. Each one of us were given amazing abilities. 5 senses: hearing, touch, taste, sight, and smell. We were given 2 legs and feet, which give us the ability called locomotion, which allows us to walk from place to place. Amazing brain capacity that helps us solve difficult problems and learn new skills. Concentration, the ability to tune other things out while we solve those problems or learn new skills. Also, we're quickly adaptable. Look at this highway. Developing traffic conditions, people cutting in and out. We have to adapt to situations every day. And lastly, we have tremendous subconscious power. Now, I don't mean the amazing Kreskin kind of magician power. Let me illustrate. I'm going to say one word, and that one word is breathe. Now, up until this moment, you've been breathing subconsciously all day. But now that I've said the word, you have to focus on each breath until subconscious power takes over again. Now let's talk about the bad news. First, it's subconscious power. Wait a minute. Didn't I just say that was the good news side of the equation? Sure, when it comes to anything but driving. But think about it. Just like I can breathe subconsciously, I can drive subconsciously. And you've experienced it too. Think about the times when you don't remember the trip from point A to point B. Next, we're hardwired for walking speed. What's that mean? It means that in the walking task, which is relatively slow, I only need to focus on what's 2 seconds in front of me. I only need to think about not walking into that wall or tripping over that cord. Couple that with the fact that my head posture is tilted slightly downward. It means I'm not looking far ahead in the driving task. Next, we're creatures of habit. But in driving, habit's not so good. Look at this guy in front of us. He's tailgating that car. I'll bet that's not the first time he's tailgated. Rather, I'll bet it's a habit that he's picked up over the years. And it's a habit that he's become comfortable with. Lastly, we love to stare. Now, staring's a good thing when it comes to solving complex problems or learning new skills. But in the driving task, staring causes us to lose sight of our surroundings. It precludes us from seeing developing traffic situations. It hampers me from seeing that guy coming from behind. Driving places us in the middle of the good news, bad news conflicts. Conflicts like good subconscious actions of breathing versus bad subconscious actions like driving without remembering. Conflicts like seeing versus changing my vision patterns to developing traffic conditions. Now, admittedly, driving is a very forgiving task. One unsafe act by itself may not lead to the fatal crash. However, over time, they add up to what we call the disaster pyramid. First, unsafe acts eventually add up to what we call a near-miss incident. And the law of averages says that if we have enough near-miss incidents, over time, they lead to the fatal crash. To get to safe driving, we have to understand three important concepts. Three important concepts to compensate for the bad hand of cards each of us was dealt at birth. Concept one, margin of safety door. I need a margin to overcome my limitations in the driving task. I need a margin to overcome their limitations in the driving task. Concept two is what I call things most drivers already know. Most drivers already know how to drive defensively. Problem is, they don't practice that method every day. And concept three, we need a system. We need a system to help us overcome our limitations in the driving task, to keep us in the moment, in the mile. We need a system to help us overcome our tendency to stare and fixate. We need a system to keep us aware of developing traffic conditions. At Zurich, we've got a system we call the 10-4 defense. It's a system to help us cope with changing traffic conditions. It's a system to help us make safe lane changes. And it's a system to help us cope with the most dangerous places on earth. That's highway intersections. Let's take the Zurich 10-4 defense apart piece by piece. The 10 in 10-4 defense means 10 ahead. That means I'm looking a minimum of 10 seconds ahead to be aware of developing traffic conditions. I pick an object and I count 1001, 1002, 1003, and so on, just to double check that my long distance scan is far enough ahead. The 4 in 10-4 defense means 4 seconds minimum following distance. That gives me time, 4 seconds. 4 seconds to scan, 4 seconds to react, and most importantly, 4 seconds to stop. The 4 also means Control 4. Control 4 is a method to actively collect the information all around your vehicle. It helps you avoid fixation. It helps you stay actively engaged in the driving task, and it helps you collect the total picture of traffic conditions around your vehicle. The 4 in lane changes means signaling your intentions 4 to 10 seconds ahead. It means leaning forward to eliminate any blind spots that might be in your mirror. Once clear, change lanes deliberately. If you're unsure, use another vehicle to sweep that region clean. Watch the vehicle enter and then exit the blind region in your mirror. It's a process we call sweeping the blind spot clear. The Zurich 10-4 defense also helps us safely navigate intersections. Intersections, it's a place we call controlled chaos. It's a place where we have competing driver decisions. It's a place where we have human beings that are instinctively impatient. It's a place where we have individuals that routinely push the limits of the traffic signal. Our 10-4 tips: when approaching an intersection, look a minimum of 10 seconds ahead to anticipate changing lights. If you're first at the light, stay a minimum of 10 feet back from that white stop line. And most importantly, allow yourself a 4-second delay after that light changes. It gives you a chance to let the chaos clear and safely pass the intersection.
Thank you, Jim. Now let's take a moment to review some of Jim's important points. The good news is that we have been given amazing abilities that enable us to quickly adapt to changing situations. The bad news is that we oftentimes drive subconsciously, by habit. To help you overcome your bad habits and the bad habits of others, remember, most drivers know how to drive defensively, but they are prone to the same bad habits you are. You need a margin of safety to overcome these bad habits. You need a planned system of driving to help you get information, give information, and act appropriately and with caution. The Zurich 10-4 system will allow you to get and give the information you need and to act appropriately to changing traffic conditions, safely merge and change lanes, and to negotiate dangerous intersections. Remember, to get the information you need to drive from point A to point B without a crash, scan 10 or more seconds ahead. Know what's happening where you are going to be. Control the 4 sides of your vehicle by maintaining a 4-second following distance. Constantly scanning all 4 sides of your vehicle. Leaning forward to reduce side area blind spots. The Zurich 10-4 system is a planned system of driving that will help you be more mindful of the driving task and less likely to make the initial mistakes. If you should make a mistake, you will have enough time to correct it in the safest way possible. Again, 10 or more ahead. Control all 4 sides, especially following distance.
Now that we've covered the Zurich 10-4 defense, here's all I'm asking. I'm asking each of you to use the tips we learned today to drive 1 mile at a time. 1 mile, crash-free. Then use the tips to drive 50 miles and 100 miles. That's all. Use the tips to drive crash-free. 10-4.